Hey everyone. So let's go through week 3 and what is due here. So start out, of course, with the resources. You want to make sure you read through these. There are a lot of great resources as far as, designing for social media. What we'll be working on this week as far as brand profiles. So that's what you'll be creating for this week. So this is definitely essential to read through. There are some great videos on essential graphic production techniques and Adobe Bridge, which is the second part of our assignments this week. There's a template for your attribution tracker. I would recommend taking a look at this. And it's just an Excel file, so it kind of gives you an example of how to set things up. What's nice about some of the downloads this week, you'll see in your downloads there's an image bank. Okay, so if you click into that image bank, it's a zip file. There are already attributions set up for each of these images, so you could just copy and paste and drop those in. It's always a good idea to keep those handy, and any projects you work on, you want to make sure you're keeping track of your imagery that you use. So definitely recommend doing that. All right, so as we get into the 3-1 activity, the design concepts, you'll want to click into the guidelines and rubric, and this is going to give you kind of the overview of what you will be doing in this assignment. So I won't read through all of this. You can go ahead and read through this. Just to give you kind of a brief on the scenario, you're a junior graphic designer at a marketing firm. You have a new client, Margarita's Brick Oven. They have 3 locations and they want to enhance their image on social media. So their aim is to attract new investors and generate a buzz. They have 3 stores currently. Each store is doing their own social media. So they each have their own social media page. Now, as a social media manager, I can tell you that can definitely create some problems, and that's something that we will get into as we continue through this assignment. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. You want to think about that consistency and, building trust around a brand. So consistency is very important. So that's something that we will address after we get through this project. So they want to enhance their YouTube and Twitter/X channels because those haven't been updated since the store was first launched. So what you're going to do is essentially create some concepts around a look for their profile on those 2 platforms. And then we'll sort of get into the rest as we move through the course. So for this assignment, you're creating design concepts for YouTube and Twitter/X using Illustrator or Photoshop. Now, a note on that, these templates down here are PSD files. So keep that in mind. And PSD files, Photoshop, should be fine for social media. Now, if you were creating something for print, I would definitely recommend using Illustrator. But since these are going to be on social media, Photoshop is fine. So I would recommend, using these templates in Photoshop, and I'll walk you through how to do that as well. So for this assignment, what to submit, you're going to have a Twitter design concept and YouTube design concept. So you'll want to download these templates, and you'll want to download these Brick Oven client files. Once you have those downloaded, you'll see that there's a lot more information in here. I would definitely click into this design brief and open this up. It's going to give you a lot more information. So it'll give you information about Margarita's Brick Oven. It's a small family-owned business. It sources local products. And what's kind of fun, and I mentioned this in the announcements for this week, I actually created the brand for this. And it was inspired by a local pizza shop in my town where my daughter worked. And it does kind of the same thing. It's a small family owned business. It only has one store, but they do use locally sourced ingredients, and their pizza is amazing. So, you know, as I was thinking about creating this assignment, I was thinking about what they could do to better enhance their social media and get a little bit more business. So every time I think about this particular Margarita's brick oven, I always think of that other pizza place, and how amazing their cheese pizza. It's so good. So definitely read through this. Their tagline: quality local ingredients, quality local pizza. You could use that. They want to use this sample promotional message. Order online today by using coupon code MARGS2 for $2 off. So that's something you could also include in those profile images. And then, of course, you have access to a bunch of images. So there's this image bank in here. This also has all of the image attributions that you can use for your attribution tracker. So all of these are all set up for you to use. All right, so let's take a look at the templates. So there's the YouTube template and the Twitter/X template. You can sort of create these however you'd like. You know, but again, thinking about consistency, I would definitely create a consistent look with these, maybe using the same imagery, same logo. So think about that as you begin to design these. When you're using the template, I would start with selecting an image that you want to use. So let's just pull an image in here. And I'm just going to resize it so it fills the full background. And then you can take that image and pull it right above this hero image and then just create a clipping mask. So right click, create clipping mask, and then it fills that hero image area. Text area, we can maybe place in that coupon code. So I'm going to paste that. See if we can get this font to change. And of course you can always adjust this so it's a little bit bigger, maybe using white text. Maybe add a drop shadow just to give it a little bit more contrast, something like that. And then, you know, you can always add in, let's say, I'm just copying and pasting this directly from Illustrator. You can turn this text off, copy that in as a smart object, resize it to fit in here. And then, you know, if you wanted to use a color or, you know, another image for this background, you could definitely do that. So let me see if I can find a good picture to use. I'll just pull this one in. And we can kind of do the same thing here. Just create a clipping mask. Pull this right above that logo area and create a clipping mask for that. And then, you know, if you wanted to adjust the opacity on this just to give the logo a little bit more contrast, you could do something like that. And, you know, you can play around with however you want to lay this out. This might be a little bit big, but you can sort of adjust things. So as you are setting this up, you can definitely turn off anything that has text, like this note And then, like I said, thinking of consistency, maybe adding that same cover image and same logo in here. Those are all things to think about as far as the consistency part of things. So once you have those done, you can save them as a PSD file and a JPEG. Definitely, actually, I should say, definitely save it as a PSD file. So that way, if you need to make any changes, you can. You can upload both if you would like. If you want me to take a look at your PSD file, if you have any questions on anything, always happy to walk things through as far as a video. So if you have any questions as far as that goes, you can do that. And so you'll submit both of those and a short write-up on how these fit the brand, and then upload those. And as I mentioned, just make sure you're referencing this style tile. It's kind of, like the mini brand guide as you're working on things. Make sure you're activating these fonts so you can use those however you'd like. The nice thing about social media is it, especially with a brand like this where the focus really should be on the food, and the main message that, you is kind of prompting people to buy is that coupon code. So I would recommend using that. If you wanted to use like the tagline in here somewhere smaller, you could definitely do that. The other thing to take a look at as you are thinking about the imagery that's used, and as we go into the next few weeks, is the Facebook pages. So take a look through these Facebook pages. So these are the profiles for each location. So you can kind of see there's a lot of inconsistency here. The Oakland location seems to do pretty well. This could definitely, be enhanced quite a bit. Using clip art isn't the most appetizing. A lot of this kind of looks like it's low resolution. So those are all things to think about as we, continue progressing through this assignment. So I hope you have fun with this. If you have any questions, just let me know.